What's going on, guys? So I have been using the new Google Chromecast with Google TV and this new Google controller on my Googling for the last, I guess it's been about a week now. And I think I've compiled enough information, enough use cases to finally have a full review for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the UI, the general experience. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this device. So for those that don't know, this thing came out September 30th. I grabbed it day one from my local Target. And what this thing is, it plugs into your TV, and then you got a little USB-C power cable there, which you got to plug into a power brick to power it. And it is no longer just a Chromecast. It is now an actual Android TV box with a new Google TV skin over the top. I was a long time NVIDIA Shield user, and I've really always liked Android TV. I like the flexibility and its capabilities. And this new Google TV skin that they are rolling out to these devices is, I think, an improvement from the original Android TV. Before we dive into the UI, let's talk a little bit about the remote. It is pretty much a remote. Not a lot to say here. You've got a directional pad, you have a back button, you have home, mute, a Netflix button, and a YouTube button. The interesting thing about the YouTube button is that if you press and hold it, you can actually reprogram it to launch either YouTube or YouTube TV. You have a power button and then a change sources button, because this can actually control your TV. You can in fact set it to where the volume rocker on the side, you can set it to either have that control the internal audio of the Google TV device or to control your TV. You can have that button change between sources on your TV as well. You can have it programmed to control your sound bar, whatever. A lot of people in the comments of my first impressions video asked if you could pair Bluetooth earbuds or headphones to this device. In my experience, yeah, you can. And then at that point, this volume rocker, if you're controlling the internal audio of the Google TV, will control that volume as well. Controller is pretty solid. I have no real complaints with it. I also failed to mention that there is a Google Assistant button. It is the dark one there, and it works exactly how you would expect. You press and hold it. You say what you want to say, what you want to listen to, what you want to watch. It is picked up by this microphone in the bottom, and when you let go, it completes the search. You can do anything you can do with Google Assistant. You can ask it questions about the weather, your commute, whatever, or you can say, play a scary flitteral on YouTube, and it'll search us up and play it for you. Okay, so once you boot this thing up and get signed into all your accounts, the first thing you're going to be met with is the For You screen. This screen appears to be largely an amalgamation of your apps and shows it might think you would want to watch from your apps. My only complaint with this screen is that up top you get this scrolling sort of advertisement of particular shows, and the problem here is that I don't even have HBO Max, and that's irritating to have a recommendation for a service, a show on a service that I'm not even subscribed to. That's a little frustrating. The second row down is YouTube TV, and it is shows that you have begun watching or shows that it thinks that you might want to watch. And that works quite well. As you can see here, this one is live now. If I were to select this show, it will load up YouTube TV and it will begin playing that show. There you go. We're going to go back home now. The next row is your list of apps. That is exactly what you think that it would be. It's just the apps that you have installed on your device. The continue watching row is interesting because it's not supported by everything yet. So far, pretty much it's YouTube TV and it's Netflix. Once other apps will begin to support this, I would love to see Hulu and so forth also show this sort of resume feature. You can go back and pick up where you left off. As more apps support this, that is going to get better and better and more useful. You've got trending on Google, which I suppose is exactly what you think it is. It's stuff that's trending on Google. I like that you've got the tomato meter down below each thing so that you know, hey, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Might be a pretty good show. Let's say you're going to pick one of these. You get this pretty cool looking interface where you can watch it on Netflix. There's one season. Add it to your watch list. There are actually 3 ways to watch this. So you could choose whichever way you want to watch. And you can also tell it if you've already watched this, if you liked it or disliked it. You've got the crew, and then you've got things that it might suggest to you based on this show. I really like this interface. I think it does a really good job. On Now is very similar to the top row. I'm actually not quite sure why there would need to be a YouTube TV row and then On Now row, because they're doing kind of the same thing, but whatever, more of that, I guess. Then you just start getting shows and movies from categories. Now that I've gotten myself signed into all my different services, I'm only getting recommendations from services that I have. I'm not seeing HBO or anything like that I'm not subscribed to here. I'm just getting shows and movies from categories in apps that I have, with exception to that very top row. You've got some recommended YouTube videos, and the same thing will happen here. If I select one of these, it's going to open up YouTube and it's going to play it. You roll on with more different suggestions from different categories. The one place I get things suggested that aren't from apps that I have installed is the free ad-supported movies, and I'm not really bothered by this because they're free. Now, if I picked one of these this is from Tubi TV, well, I don't have that app. If I go to select it, it's going to take me to the Play Store to install that to be able to watch that show. And then down here at the very bottom, you can actually go in and tell it what services you're signed into and what services you want to get recommendations from. Let's say I don't have HBO Max, but I want to get those suggestions anyways because I'm considering subscribing to it, whatever. If you go to the live screen now, you get the TV guide essentially for YouTube TV. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's no way to make this do anything but this. And in fact, when I was signed out of YouTube TV, when I first set it up, I was already getting this. This looks like it's baked in whether you like it or not. If you're a Sling TV person, maybe there will be a way down the line to make this show the Sling TV guide. But for now, it's YouTube TV. It's there whether you like it or not. And it works really well. If I were to select one of these shows, same thing's going to happen. It's going to load up YouTube TV and it's going to start playing that show. I quite like this feature as a YouTube TV subscriber. Your mileage will vary there. The Movies tab is exactly what you think the Movies tab will be. It's going to show you movies from all the different services that you're subscribed to. Again, this top row is showing me HBO Max things. I don't have HBO Max. I wish I could get rid of that, but there doesn't appear to be a way to do that. But then once you get into the rest, you start getting things that are from Netflix, but also things you can rent. So this movie here, let's say I wanted to rent it. I can watch the trailer. I can rent it. Selecting rent will load up the Google Play Store for you to rent that movie. Who is paying $22 to rent a movie? That's insanity. New movies, movies from your watch list, trending, and then categories going on and on from there. A big complaint for me still is that I can't get rid of, here's Sling TV showing me a movie here. I don't have Sling TV. Here's HBO Max showing me something here. I don't have HBO Max. I wish I could get rid of those recommendations. That's a little bit annoying. On shows, it's the same thing as the movie section, but now it's TV shows. The same complaint stands. Wish I could get rid of services that I don't have, but the interface is still great. You still get your 3 ways to watch if it is available on multiple different services. You've got your tomato meter, you've got your cast, you've got your recommendations. It's clean, it moves quickly, and it works well. Apps is basically where you're going to go to get new apps. They've got several up top that you can try to install. They've got your apps, they've got categories, and they also have a way to search. They have a list of apps that are on your other devices that are compatible that you might want to install. Perhaps I'm going to do a video about Moonlight game streaming. Well, let's install it. Let's see what happens when I install this. You'll notice that it is quite fast. We're already done. It's installed. Featured, and then many different categories. They're basically keeping you from going into the Play Store to download apps. It's all just done right here. And let's say you wanted to search for a new app. If you click on search, you can either use Gboard to type, or you can hold down that Google Assistant button and say Crackle. And there's Crackle on the Google Play Store. And then finally, library. You're going to see your DVR from YouTube TV. Again, this is a heavily integrated thing with this app. If you're a Sling user or whatever, I don't think you're going to get these features. You've got your watch list and the movies and shows that you own through Google. If you go over here to your account, you've got a couple different options here. You can have the ability here to go in and actually edit your account settings. You can also go ahead and trigger the sleep mode, where it will show whatever you have set up to show when the device is asleep, which it'll switch to that automatically after a certain amount of time. Settings are pretty straightforward. You've got your network and internet connections, which you're just going to connect to Wi-Fi. There is an Ethernet adapter that is coming, but that's not something a lot of people are going to use. Accounts and sign in. Now you can actually go in here and add another account if you choose to. As you see down in the bottom right corner, it says you can use other accounts within Google Apps, but you won't see recommendations for those accounts on your home screen. Not a feature I think a lot of people are going to use, simply because each app probably has multiple sign-ins or different profiles anyways, but it's there if you need that. You can manage your services, look at your purchases, edit your settings on Google Assistant, and then apps only mode basically gets rid of all of those features I showed you. I guess we can enable this real quick and show you what it looks like. But basically it turns this thing into a standard Android TV. You just have your apps. You still can't get rid of that thing for whatever reason, but there you go. There's your apps. That's your home. That's all you have now. Interesting thing for them to have there. I don't know how many people are going to use that. For privacy, this is a pretty standard privacy section for Android. You can go in here and enable different apps to install from unknown sources after you enable developer mode, which I will show you here shortly. Display and sound, pretty simple group of settings. You have game mode that you can turn on, which I can't notice any real difference there. System sounds I have turned off. It makes this weird sort of clicking sound when you go through things, not something I like. I disabled surround sound simply because different apps were freaking out in terms of volume. You go into one app and everything will be blaringly loud, and then the next app will be super quiet. That was irritating to me, so I just turned it off. All I have is a sound bar and a sub anyway, so I'm not missing a ton there. System, these are very standard Android system settings. Nothing really important here. You can see that I do have developer options enabled. Remotes and accessories, you can pair different things to this. My Chromecast remote is paired. I have a mouse paired to it as well. You pair just like you pair any Bluetooth thing on Android. And then your help section. So if you want to enable developer options, you go to System, then About, and you go down to Android TV OS build, and you just hit your select button multiple times on that until it pops up and says you are now a developer. Then you'll be able to go back to that privacy section and enable unknown sources. So how does the thing perform overall? It's quite good. You know, you can load up YouTube and it's not blazingly fast, but it's fast enough. It doesn't make me miss my NVIDIA Shield. If you go to play a video, you know, it's fine. It's quite fast. I can go home. I can launch YouTube TV. I'm right back where I was. I can go back. I can hit the YouTube button on my remote. I'm back in that app. It's not cleared it out of RAM. It's pretty quick. Let's go ahead and launch Netflix 2. There's my profile. I'll give you an idea of how long it takes to load YouTube, or Netflix, I should say. There's that. Let's hit the YouTube button again. We're back into that video. All in all, performance is, I would say it's unnoticeable. It very rarely makes me just feel like, man, this is just going so slow. Let's use the Google Assistant button now. Search Scary If Literal on YouTube. It got that slightly wrong, but there is the YouTube channel anyways. It got pretty close, and you saw how fast that was. So guys, all in all, I'm quite pleased with this thing, and for $50 in the United States, it's a pretty good deal. If you're a YouTube TV user, you're really going to like this thing. If you're not, you're going to like it a lot less. It sounds like they're going to start rolling this interface out to other older Android TV devices. So definitely stay tuned for those updates. I've got a couple of videos up already about gaming on this thing. I've shown Google Stadia running on it. I've shown some emulators running on it. This is not a gaming powerhouse, although you can pair a Bluetooth controller to it. I've paired my Xbox One controller to it, and it works fine. It's not incredible. The Shield is going to be a better gaming device, obviously, but it is somewhat possible, and you can install games from the Play Store if they're compatible with Android TV. So guys, that is my review for the new Google Chromecast with Google TV. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends. If you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a Scary If Literal member. You'll get access to a whole bunch of emoticons to use with live streams and a shout out on an upcoming video. Thanks as always for your continued support.